Excuse me. Excuse me. Has anyone seen Tim? Oh, this is just ridiculous. Never.
Hello?
Tim? Tim, where are you?
Where am I? I'm at my office where I'm supposed to be. Where are you?
Tim, it's Rotary. Today is your first meeting.
Yeah, funny, Nancy. We took
No, I'm not kidding. They're all here. They're
But-
wondering where you are.
We took the first Wednesday off, remember?
Yeah, that was last week. Tim,
Last week?
yes?
Oh, crap. Can you tell everybody to hang on for a minute?
Okay, we'll wait for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to meeting 100.3 of the Rotary Club of Seattle, the largest and best Rotary Club in the world. To get us started, I'd like to invite to the podium one of our gifted songstresses, our talented Sergeant-at-Arms, Sue Nixon, who has granted me one of my first day wishes and will sing our national anthem a cappella. Sue?
Let's put our hands over our hearts, shall we? Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light why so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Sue. That was just beautiful. Thank you. I'd now like to invite Rabbi Daniel Weiner to deliver our invocation today, ensuring that at least part of today's program will be reverent. Rabbi?
I hope this suffices. As we gather to embrace the start of Rotary's second century, of service in the beginning of the Bendokas era, I recall the lessons of leadership recounted in recent readings from the Torah, the 5 books of Moses. In the wider world, we expect our leaders to be renowned, charismatic, powerful, awe-inspiring, and larger than life. The Torah reminds us that though these may make for success and popularity, they are insufficient to inspire and guide an enduring leadership. Moses, one of the first notable leaders in Western tradition, straddled the tenuous terrain between an often unruly people and a demanding God. He learned through challenging experience and the wisdom accrued from it that a truly righteous leader possesses humility to appreciate the breadth and possibility of God-given talent and earned skill, vision to see beyond the constraints of what is to aspire to what can be, and the perspective to separate personal agenda from public need, to discern one's true purpose from believing one's hype. We pray that President Bendokas will lead us with justice and compassion, with sensitivity and direction, with pride and love through these trying times into the next century. The rabbis taught that as goes the leader, so goes the generation. May we be worthy of our leader's commitment and devotion, and may he find strength, solace, and support in our dedication to this club and its mission. Amen.
Thank you very much, Rabbi. Please be seated. And I do draw strength from all of you. Thank you very much. Now we'd like to call on our brand new Vice President of Service, Laura Rehrman, and our brand new Vice President of Membership, Nancy Cahill, to introduce our visiting Rotarians and guests. Ladies, you're up.
Thank you very much, President Tim. I am very pleased to introduce the following visiting Rotarians. I'll list them all by name, and then if we could applaud them all at the end. So we are pleased to welcome Richard Lindquist from Eugene, from Mr. Michiko Kainuma from the Tokyo Club, Elizabeth Burns from Redmond, Carlos Aragon from Duval, and Gary Dieterer from South Center. Please join me in welcoming them to our club.
President Tim, can you hear me back here?
Yes.
You know, one thing I meant to clear with Sue Nixon, but I have some ideas for our mic committee because I went to last night's American Idol concert, and so I think there's some things we can learn from how they handle mics, sort of like, right, for emphasis. See, some of you were not paying attention, you missed it right before introducing somebody important. So one of the guests I'm sharing with us tonight, or this afternoon, depending on what time of day you're thinking it is Jean Lashiver. She's going to stand here. She is the daughter of our member Eric Lashiver, and she is a Fulbright scholar. Woo! And Jean will be heading soon to India to study that country's approach for how to handle the HIV challenge. So needless to say, she's got her work cut out. We expect her back in about 40 years. And we hope to have her be a future Rotarian. So welcome.
And President Tim, our first Service Club announcement of the year is from Greg Toy, co-chair of the Arts Committee.
Thank you, Laura. We're having our first Arts Committee meeting of the year tomorrow evening, 5:30 to 7, at the Seattle Art Museum. So if you haven't signed up for the Arts Committee, come join us anyway. There'll be, I hear it, a glass of wine and some hors d'oeuvres, and a private tour of the exhibit with the curator after our meeting. Tomorrow night, 5:30 to 7.
Thank you very much. Thank you, President Tim.
Great. Thank you, ladies. Welcome, visitors. Glad you're here with us today. I need to call newly minted past President Nancy Slater back up to the podium. In fact, Nancy, I'd like you to stand right here, center stage, because we're going to do a little year in review. Nearly 3 years ago, our club elected this lady to be our 100th president, to preside over our club during our centennial year. I think many would say that our centennial project our centennial celebration, and in fact our entire year was filled with many of the finest hours this club has ever witnessed. But the past year also, we faced a severe challenge, one that this club has never had to deal with before. And this lady, this president, handled the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows with grace, dignity, authority, and a steady calm. Things happen for a reason, Nancy, and I believe you were our president last year for lots of reasons. And I speak for this entire room when I say you did a magnificent job, and we are forever in your debt. Thank you. It is now my great honor to present you with your past president's pin and something I know you've been waiting for, your gold past president's badge. Ladies and gentlemen, as I pin this on Nancy, let's show our gratitude to her one more time.
Thank you, Tim. That was very nice. But as you know, a year takes a lot of people working hard, and I was blessed by tremendous officers, great boards, and an amazing staff. I also can count among my blessings an incredible family that was very supportive, and a first dude who is unsurpassed. Thank you, Alan. But today we're moving on to a new era, the Bendokas era. And I'm very happy to be able to share with you a little history about Tim, unknown facts that will help you understand why Rotary is so important to him and why his theme, Learn, Laugh, and Love, is also the theme song for his life. Tim's parents met at the end of the war and chose the Northwest as their home. Tim was born July 20th, not so far from now, 1954, a mere youngster, right here in Seattle. This, of course, makes him part of the genuine baby boomer generation, a fact that he and 80 million other people are extremely proud. His early days were very typical as growing up in Bothell can be. His father was hardworking, his mom was a hardworking stay-at-home mom, and he was sandwiched in the middle of 3 other siblings. His early life was filled with simple pleasures of life, picnics in the park, backyard barbecues with the family. Tim, what is it you're barbecuing there? Looks a little suspicious. And hiking in the Cascades. And that is a really nice shot of your mom. He was a Little League dynamo. And as idyllic as all this was, something was just missing for Tim. Something profound, the meaning of life. To describe it, Tim said he had an itch, and he's itching right there, to find service, so he began a quest. First, he would suit up and show up, but where to go? Transportation became the first problem for the young boy beginning this pilgrimage. A mule wasn't exactly the right image. A scooter was just a little too slow. A bike might work. A helicopter would be really cool. And he was just too young to take the family car. No easy solution. So he sat and thought and thought and sat and sat and thought some more, until The Navy called. Now that would be service. Tim knew that he would thrive in the Navy. He knew he could do it. He had been tested before. Whatever obstacles got in his way, he persevered. He showed up with 2 black eyes or 2 broken arms. At this time in his life, Tim had learned a lot, but now he was going to experience love. He found someone to help him learn, someone to laugh with, and yes, someone to love. Into his life walked Heidi. Great glasses. Still learning, loving, and laughing, son Andrew followed along. And then a black Labrador named Henry. It was in May of 1986 that Tim finally understood service and service above self. That was when he joined the Rotary Club of Seattle. This year, with Tim at the helm, we will laugh. We already have laughed a little. And we will learn, maybe not a lot, but a little. And we will embrace those people and principles that we all hold dear. So, Tim, it's now time to suit up and show up on time once again.
Thanks, I think, Nancy. One must really bare one's soul in this job. I'd like to now take a few minutes and tell you about some of the things that we have in store for you this year. You know that each year the president of Rotary International adopts a theme for the year, and for 2009-2010, the RI theme will be "The Future of Rotary is in Your Hands." Some of our own presidents pick a theme too. The one I have chosen is not so much a theme, but more of a motif. It's what I call the 3 L's. They are learn, laugh, and love. Learn, laugh, and love will be the 3-legged stool, the cheesecloth, if you will, through which we hope to pass each week's meeting, program choices, and your weekly Rotary experience. Learn is obvious. We want to keep abreast of the changing world around us, locally, nationally, and internationally. We hope to learn not only where we've had an impact in the world, but where work remains to be done, where our efforts can make a difference in people's lives. Laugh is something I think we all need to do more of. Anyone who knows me even a little bit knows that laughter is a huge part of my life and always has been. I'm a fully certified class clown, and I plan to utilize my training in maintaining this sacred tradition. I want to bring our club along with me in the pursuit of more smiles and chuckles, so you will see this from time to time in our programming, and you will definitely see it emanate regularly from the podium. And besides, if laughter is the best medicine, I think we're going to need lots of doses in our world this coming year. And finally, love. If you think about it, the true business of Rotary is love. Now, I know love can be a big old scary word to some, so I want to bring it out in the daylight and lay it on the table for all of us to see, share, and enjoy. You'll see some of our programs not only feature the love of Rotary, but also examples of love from within our community and from within our own club. Speaking of love, you know, everyone in this room is special, and once a year, everyone gets a special day, your birthday. So if I call your name, I would like you to stand and remain standing as we have a little something for you. Phil Smart Jr., Mike Colbreeze, Doug Boyden, John Neshholm, nobody's standing. Oh, Karen Wong, Peter Geyer, John Raffin, Michelle McCarthy, Skip Roland, Gary Houlihan, Jim Odom, Jill Wakefield, Gene Bateman, Carol Nygren, Elliot Burdett, Chuck Cleargren, Dave Kraft, Melinda Wade, Mary Ross, Don Vollmer, William Bryant, Bob Alexander, Brian Nelson, Dan Meade Smith, and George Guy. I promise you this isn't going to take long every week like this. This is 2 weeks worth of birthdays. But anyway, we're kicking off what I call our Rotary Rose Parade. And our Rose Elves are out there helping distribute a birthday rose to all the birthday boys and girls of this week. While they're doing that, I want to thank my co-conspirator in this endeavor, our member Tom Betts. Tom, where are you? There he is. Tom is president of Topper's English Floral Design, located in the Fairmont Olympic Hotel. And I approached Tom a while back with this nutty idea, and Tom did not bat an eye and said anything I needed he would take care of. So Tom's going to provide our birthday roses every week. So please say thank you to Tom for me. Thank you, sir. Okay. I'd like to reintroduce to you your leadership team for this year. So once again, if I call your name, please stand and please hold your applause until the end, because I'm using up all the time quickly here. Vice President of Service, Laura Rehrman. Vice President of Membership, Nancy Cahill. Secretary, John Warner. Treasurer, Brad Fowler. Sergeant at Arms, Sue Nixon. And I'd also like to ask all the club board members and committee chairs to stand, if you're here today. And, of course, your Seattle Rotary Service Foundation officers and trustees. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your leadership team for 2009-2010. I have a few family members with me here today that I'd like to introduce to you. First is my dear sister-in-law, Karen Lund. My number one and only son, Andrew. And Andrew's very dear significant other, Reggie Thykutathil. And I've saved the best for last. I'm one extremely fortunate guy who was lucky enough to be married to my soulmate, my best friend, I'm gonna cry, the mother of my son, and the absolute love of my life, Heidi. Sweetheart, please stand. One last person to introduce to you, someone who's also very important to me, as you'll soon learn, our new program chair, Roy Mann. Come on. I'm not sure how we keep finding these unbelievably talented and dedicated program chairs each year, but you'll soon see that Roy is going to be one of our best. Roy would like to tell you a little bit about our program efforts this year, so please welcome Roy Mann.
What if the opportunity to learn about some pioneering new technology from Jeff Bezos was as close as the person sitting right next to you? Or what if the opportunity to hear a passionate interview with Helen Thomas about the control of the press was only a phone call away? The Rotary Program Committee wants you to innovate with us. This afternoon, you will be receiving an email from the Rotary office with a program survey. Fear not, thanks to the technical expertise of James Wong, we've crafted a simple, single-sided online survey that won't take more than 3 to 5 minutes to fill out. What are the topic areas, and who are the great and knowledgeable speakers that you think would best serve our Rotary Club and our community? With a click and a comment, you can help us carry the Rotary tradition of great programming into our next century of service. Please take the survey. Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce our featured speaker for today, Pat Cashman. Pat is an acclaimed actor, director, writer, producer, radio personality, voiceover artist, keynote speaker, and stuffed Mexi Fries pitchman, who will share with us a bit of his take on the Northwest. Please welcome Pat Cashman.
Thank you very much, Tim, and greetings to Rotarians, guests, distinguished visitors, serving staff, AV guys, seafarer pirates, and early leavers who have already left, apparently. I am told, sadly, that the photo of Mrs. Bendokas is already all over the internet. So it's funny how fast that stuff happens. Thank you for that wonderfully kind and embarrassingly flattering introduction. Rarely does someone read an introduction exactly the way you wrote it like that, so I was surprised. Thank you, Mr. Bendokas. A couple of things before I get started. The use of flash bulbs is allowed, but no cameras, please. Oil painting, sketching, watercolors, those things are fine. We would ask that you refrain from touching that screen over there, which was erected not only for video purposes today, but also, of course, for Nancy Slater's amazing shadow puppet show, which is coming up towards the end of the program today. She does one that looks exactly like Don Kraft. It's incredible. Her Phil Smart needs a little work, though, but pretty impressive. We would also ask that members of the Rotary not take off their shoes, please, and clip their toenails during my presentation. There'll be plenty of time for that during the balance of Mr. Bendokas' term. And please do not shout out things during my remarks today like "you stink" or "wrap it up, blabbermouth" or "good God Almighty, will this never end?" On the other hand, if you're inclined to burst into applause or start a standing ovation, I can't stop you. Beyond all the nice things, though, in that introduction, there was one thing that was not mentioned, and that is that I have completed 11 books in the last 4 years. And that, I agree, is a lot of reading, but I did it. And I'm also toying with the idea of writing some books, too. I'm going to write one about motivation, if I can, get up for it. Some of the titles I'm toying with are 7 Habits of Highly Annoying People, Chicken Soup for the Spleen, and Who Moved My Cheetos. Actually, I do have a book out right now that's on the New York Times bestseller list. Well, not the New York Times, New York Tim. He's a guy that has a bookstore I know in Tacoma. The book is in its 3rd printing. We're going to print our 4th copy tomorrow to keep up with demand. It's one of those self-help relationship books. Do look for it. Women are from Medina, men are from Enumclaw. We have high hopes for it. When I was a kid, I asked my dad, "Dad, what's a Rotarian?" And he said, "A Rotarian, son, is someone who every so often, but on a regular basis, takes the front tires of their car, puts them on the back, and takes the back tires and puts them on the front for better tread wear." Actually, my dad was a member of the local Rotary, as was my grandfather, and he went way back. In fact, my grandfather used to tell me that back when he joined Rotary, they only had a one-way test. And that one was multiple choice, so. This is a great hotel. It's great to be back in this room. By the way, we're going to have a little raffle at the end of the presentation today, and somebody's going to be going home with these beautiful chandeliers that you see overhead. All of them, so I hope you brought your Hummer. But the Sheraton has been refurbished. It's a beautiful hotel. I don't know if you've had a chance to see all the new parts of it, but the hotel staff was just buzzing last week. There was apparently an incident. A female guest at the hotel, and you remember how nice the weather was last week. Well, she decided she wanted to go do some sunbathing, so she went up and she found a big flat deck and noticed that nobody else was around. So she had a one-piece bathing suit on, and since nobody else was around, she decided she'd slip off her one-piece bathing suit. And then she lay face down on the deck and then discreetly put a towel over her south end, just in case somebody did come along. Well, somebody did. About 30 seconds went by, and the hotel manager ran up to her and said, "Ma'am, you've got to put your swimsuit back on. You can't be lying up here." And she said, "What difference does it make? There's nobody else around." And he said, "Yeah, but see, you're lying on the dining room skylight." Boy, was my wife embarrassed over that. Well, to be honest with you, I am not terribly well prepared today, and I didn't have much time to get prepared. I was only told about this 3 or 4 months ago. And then, confidentially, after initially being asked to be a keynote speaker for this kickoff of Mr. Bendokas' term, I never really heard from anyone again. I'd call over to Rotary. I found out Rotary itself actually doesn't really have a number, but I finally figured out, well, you know what, I guess they changed their minds and they lined up another speaker, and that happens. And then, just as these things sometimes happen, this morning I went out to my mailbox and there was a letter from Mr. Bendokas in my mailbox, and I was in such a hurry to get down here I didn't have a chance to read it closely myself, but I wanted to share it with you. From President Bendokas. Dear Pat Cashman, this message is to confirm that you will be our speaker at the Wednesday, July 8th, 2009 meeting and luncheon of the Seattle Rotary Club No. 4, Service Above Self, from 12 noon to 1:30 in the Grand Ballroom of the downtown Seattle Sheraton. Because the phrase, the Wednesday, July 8th, 2009 meeting and luncheon of the Seattle Rotary Club No. 4, Service Above Self, from 12 noon to 1:30 p.m. in the Grand Ballroom of the downtown Seattle Sheraton, is so lengthy, that is the final time I will use the words, the Wednesday, July 8th, 2009 meeting and lunch of the Seattle Rotary Club No. 4, Service Above Self, from 12 noon to 1:30 in the Grand Ballroom of the downtown Seattle Sheraton, except for that time right there. It is our custom at Seattle Rotary to bring guest speakers of scholarship, expertise, acumen, and intellect, people who inspire, and in the past we've showcased such people as Nelson Mandela, Bill Gates, Kofi Annan, Julia Childs, Desmond Tutu. But this year we decided to go in a different direction. And that's how your name came up, Pat Cashman. We do not expect you to inspire. If you could just perspire a bit, that would exceed our expectations. My personal theme throughout this year as Rotary President is learn, laugh, and love. We'll have other speakers throughout the year to handle the learn part. If you could take a stab at the laugh part, that'd be good. And I, of course, will handle the love. As I mentioned earlier, our Rotary meetings include a lunch. Okay, let's face it. It's actually a lunch that includes a Rotary meeting. I mean, it's doubtful that some of these people would even show up without the promise of putting on the old feed bag. Between you and me, Pat Cashman, some of these folks can really put it away. I'll point them out to you when you arrive. Our Rotary slogan, Service Above Self, is notable, and that's why our lunch is not presented buffet style. Regardless, you're not invited to the lunch, which is for dues-paying Rotarians only. So if you need something to eat, you might want to hit Taco Time on the way over. I hear their crispy bean burrito is outstanding, but then you would know that better than me. Once you are introduced, get up there quick and get on with it. Please avoid little jokes like, our organization got its name because their members regularly rotate their tires and all that thing. Desmond Tutu already did that joke. We will provide an excellent sound system at first rate. Be sure to speak clearly and coherently, and do not fool with the mic. It makes an irritating noise. And do not babble on and on. We have Ralph Monroe available to do that. To be candid with you, Pat Cashman, you were not our first choice to be the speaker, not by a long shot. Frankly, I've never heard of you, and neither has anybody else I've talked to at Rotary. We're told even the Kiwanis took a pass on you. In fact, with your first name, Pat Cashman, no one's sure whether to expect a man or a woman to show up. Whichever one you are, just dress appropriately and show up on time. No pressure, but you should know that Eric Bremner absolutely killed here a few weeks ago. So we'll see you Wednesday, Pat Trashman, and feel free to bring your husband along if you'd like. Signed, Mr. Bendokas, Rotary President. Thank you, Ben. Well, to tell you a little bit about myself, not that it's important, but I was part of a show called Almost Live for many years, broadcast locally and nationally syndicated. A show that was canceled 10 years ago. I was part of Disney's Bill Nye the Science Guy program, that was on the air for many years. That one was canceled about 6 years ago. I've been fired from a lot of radio jobs in this market, and I was in the production of Hello, Dolly at the Fifth Avenue Theater in March. That, of course, closed. So while you may be disappointed in the choice today of guest speaker, this is the best thing that's happened to me in a long time. I'm not leaving. Yet. In the radio business, I have been fired more times than a human cannonball. Some of the stations you may have heard of, Cairo, Como, Claude, Crack, Cluck, Kilo, Cuckoo, Crap, Cream, Crazy. I've worked them all. The last one was at KAN. You'd think I'd have seen that coming, but I didn't. And I think the term they used was, we're changing direction, Pat. And I said, oh, what direction is that? And they said, what difference does it make? You're not going with us. So as I was cleaning out my desk, the human resources person came to me and said, will you be wanting Cobra coverage? And I said, no. What are the chances I'm going to get bit by one of those things around here? Sure enough, 2 days later, I lose control of my car down by the Woodland Park Zoo, get bit by 3 baboons and a cobra. But even if I had the cobra coverage, it wouldn't have covered the baboons, so it doesn't matter, I guess. So anyway, after losing my broadcast job a few years ago, I was forced to go out and try some other kinds of employment. And that's the lesson, one of them, that I would bring to you today, that the skills you have in whatever profession you are in, be it broadcasting, banking, insurance, advertising, software, hardware, butchering, baking, candlestick making, any kind of business, those skills that you have acquired will have a place in another career, should you have to change directions. You can go ahead and roll that now. Here's me trying some other jobs with the skills I had from broadcast.
Welcome to SeaTac. Vehicles left unattended in the red zone will be impounded. Okay, everybody, it's 1:38 and 45 degrees outside right now. And now it's 1:39, but it's still just 45 degrees outside. Order 19 and 29. I mean 91 and 92. Sorry, 9. Order 9, your order's ready. Warning to pedestrians. Vehicle approaching. Vehicle approaching. Attention Ballard Market shoppers. There is currently a 17-cart backup on aisle 9. We would recommend aisles 8 or 10 as alternate routes. Hey, me bucko! Who wants to ride the pirate ship? Arr! Arr! Prepare to come about! Arr! 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 Welcome to the thrill ride of the century. Plunge at high speed. Almost 10 feet. We are currently experiencing technical difficulties. We'll get you down as soon as we can. All right, everybody, my name is Pat Cashman. It's about 22 minutes past the hour. Let's get started. I-25. Next number, B-15. Anybody got bingo yet? O-69. Was that a little raunchy? Sorry. I am terrible at this.
Bingo! Well, you see, there are other things you can do with your career, should you have to. Thank you. Thanks a lot. I just recorded a new commercial that should be hitting the airwaves pretty soon. It's one of those medical, pharmaceutical commercials that are so much in vogue these days. And in this case, you'll normally hear plaintive piano music playing underneath. Here's the commercial. I don't know when I first noticed it, but something just didn't feel right. So I went to see my doctor. And that's when he said the word I hope that
At Roscoe's Oriental Rug Emporium, we're saying goodbye.
Thank you. And that's when my doctor said the word I hoped I would never hear. Galbrophonosoplasia. I couldn't believe I was hearing that word, galbrophonosoplasia. I didn't know what it meant, and my doctor didn't really say, but it had me worried. That's when my doctor prescribed Finastrine DL. Within a few days, my original symptoms were gone and were replaced by a ringing in my ears and severe itching. So I went back to my doctor, and that's when he recommended Flucotate Barazone. Before long, the ringing in my ears and the itching had disappeared and were replaced by a hacking cough, runny eyes, and skin eruptions. So I went back to my doctor, and that's when he told me about Hexachloride Paradigm 2000. I seemed to tolerate Hexachloride Paradigm 2000 quite well, but the taste was very nauseating. That's when my doctor told me that Hexachloride Paradigm 2000 was an ointment. He told me to stop eating it and switched me to once-a-day low-sodium, high-magnesium chlorophyll AB. Within just a few short hours, I was bleeding from the ears and eyes and was experiencing severe tremors and crushing chest pains. That's when my doctor recommended Mutterschmiel Traconzole, a 2-foot-long suppository. And that, Your Honor, is when I shot my doctor. Thank you. You're very nice. Thank you. Frankly, I don't do that many commercials, especially those that are repetitive, give people false hope, and are repetitive. Not only pharmaceuticals, but even some hospitals and medical centers nowadays, as you know, do a bit of advertising on TV and radio, and it's usually nice, it's low-key, it's soft sell, feel-good advertising. I just hope they don't start advertising in an in-your-face, hard-sell retail style, because while medical costs may be higher right now than we would like them to be, I don't think most people would want to go to a hospital that was having a big blowout sale. It's Swedish Medical Center's semi-annual sale. Get a 6-way bypass for the price of a 4-way. 30% off gallbladder removal at Virginia Mason with the coupon from the Little Nickel. It's Overlake Hospital's big August special. Buy one vasectomy, get your second one free. Now, Rotary, as a worldwide organization, has a lot of missions. Very impressive. Fighting hunger, improving health around the world, and also really spotlighting education and job training. But many people, young people in this country of ours alone, are falling behind, and many of them are poor in 3 important subjects: English and math. And maybe there's a 4th one I'm not thinking of, but the reason this is important is that I've got nothing to brag about when I was a student. Now, we have a Fulbright scholar here today. I was not fully bright as a scholar. About the best thing on my report card is when my teacher wrote, "Pat has excellent posture. Someday he might make an excellent sword swallower." My senior year, one semester, something cool happened. I got a 4-point. Well, I hit a deer driving to school. But my dad still bragged about that. But fresh venison, ladies and gentlemen, is not an education. Disturbing statistics for you right now. And what good is a statistic if it's not disturbing? If you ask 10 graduating high school students today to name the first president of the United States, 7 of them will say, Abraham Lincoln? Lincoln, as you know, was the 3rd president. But students have no idea that Washington Irving was our first president. You know, maybe they've seen his face on the $3 bill, but other than that, they have no idea. And I think the problem is that a lot of young people today don't know how to read. To read. And those that do read don't read good. So how do we get them to read gooder? Well, one thing is to introduce them to the great names of literature: Charles Dickey, Rudyard Kiplington, Edgar Allan Poe, William Jennings Shakespeare. and Ernest Hemingway, not to mention the great female writers like Joyce James, and the author of Tim Sawyer and Huckleberry Hound, the great Shania Twain, whose real name, by the way, was Samantha Langhorne Clemens. Did you know that? Studies show that a third of half of the students and 1/4 of the whole are confused. 35% can't do basic math. The other 80% are completely in the dark. 7 out of 3 can't do fractions. 9 into 8 can't divide. And those with low sperm counts can't multiply. It's true. And it's not much better when it comes to the subject of geology, or as it is sometimes called, social studies. Many kids can't name the state capitals, much less the 47 states. In fact, most kids can't name the country on the globe that is shaped like a boot, much less those that are shaped like sandals or wingtips or galoshes. Add that to the fact that young people today can't complete a single cent. And perhaps most alarming of all, most graduating seniors have no idea where on the human body the semicolon is located. So we've got some work to do in this country. And it's easy for us to look down our noses as adults, mostly adults in the room, especially at the WASL test, which I think is being thrown out now, but that's the Washington Assessment of Student Learning. Well, see how you do in this brief test about our state that we all live in. We live here. We should think we know it pretty well. Do we? This isn't the WASL. It's the Washington Easy Answer State Examination of Learning, the WEASL. I'm sorry the acronym worked out that way, but here it is, and it's multiple choice. Why was the Space Needle built? A, to be the centerpiece of the 1962 World's Fair. B, to give bungee jumpers a real cool ride. Or 3, in case Seattle had a massive flood, there would be at least one restaurant that would be dry. Don't blurt out the answer. There used to be a so-called phenomenon called the aroma of Tacoma. What was the source of that aroma? A, the large number of local industries and mills. B, a huge fan that blew it up from Albany, Oregon. Or C, a guy named Earl. What is our state motto? Alki, a Chinook word meaning by and by? Or is it B, we may not be perfect in Washington State, but we ain't no Idaho? Or C, Washington State, why buy a mattress anywhere else? What state town is named for a potato? Is it A, Wapato, B, Sammamished, or C, Earl? What is a cotlet? A jellied candy made from fruit, a jellied candy made out of a cot, or a partial spelling of the words Costco outlet? These are brain teasers. What Washington city takes its name from a Shakespearean character? A, Othello, B, Bothello, or C, Enum Claudius? What book did an early settler of the Washington Territory write? James G. Swain. Did he write A, The Northwest Coast, B, A Tale of Tri-Cities, or C, Tukwila Mockingbird? And finally, what is that famous statue in Fremont called, with people standing around? A, Waiting for the Interurban, B, Waiting for Your Number, 216 to be called, down at the DMV. They are currently serving number 3. Or C, Waiting for the Comcast cable guy to show up sometime between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. You know, I left the answer sheet in my other jacket, and I'm sorry about that. Well, throughout the years, the show I mentioned earlier, Almost Live, one of their regular mandates was to poke good-natured fun at the neighborhoods and the towns that we all populate here in Western Washington. And most of those places and most of the people who live in them seem to find it at least mildly amusing. Ballard people thought, hey, it's funny, they did a joke about Ballard last night. There was one town that was an exception, and is an exception, I guess, Renton. For whatever reason, they didn't like jokes about Renton. And the city council got together in Renton, and they said, we're going to hire a marketing firm. We're going to get some marketing people on this. We're going to come up with a slogan, and people are going to start thinking differently about Renton from now on. And they did, and the slogan was implemented. Renton, ahead of the curve. Some of you are chuckling. That really is their slogan. Well, since then, a lot of other towns have adopted their own slogans. Kent adopted Kent, connecting for success, which is another way of Kent saying, you know what, we've seen Renton, we just as soon stay behind the curve. Here are some others. Tacoma, the smell's pretty much gone now. Everett, same here. Auburn, come for the bowling, stay for the pull tabs. Burien, we're right next to the airport. Bellingham, close to Canada, but not too close. Ocean Shores, surprisingly moist. Puyallup, putting the pew in Allop for over 100 years. Linwood, big dreams, big hair. Walla Walla, come visit, come visit. Chehalis, you're halfway there. You get that one? Hump tulips, I don't get this one. Hump tulips and pay a $200 fine. I don't even know what that one means. And for many years, the hometown of Mr. Bendokas, Bothell, has gone with Bothell for a day or a lifetime. It's nice when a city offers its citizens a choice like that. Similarly, the city of SeaTac has now adopted SeaTac for a day or by the hour. Well, it was their decision. There's a lot of talk about the economy these days. I know it's terribly tough for a lot of people, but there certainly is reassurance, I would think, every week when you come here to Rotary, compare notes with other business people, find that the association with colleagues and friends like this is made even richer by being part of an organization that emphasizes service above self. Charles Dickens, or maybe Charles Dickey, I think, once wrote, "No one is useless in the world who lightens the burdens of another." And speaking of burdens, speaking of tough times, I've been involved with a company that has really taken it on the chin lately. Things have not been going well. You could roll it now.
At Roscoe's Oriental Rug Emporium, we're saying goodbye. We're closing our store forever, and you can save like never before. Roscoe's Oriental Rug Emporium is saying, that's it, it's over, we're done, time's up, farewell, so long, toodaloo, we're out of here. We really mean it, no kidding, this is really it this time. Now, I know we've said it before, but this is the real deal this time. We're hitting the bricks, gonna mosey, gonna sashay, gonna clear out, vamoose, saying adios, ciao, auf Wiedersehen, sayonara, au revoir, hasta luego, Godspeed, until we meet again, which we won't, because Roscoe's Oriental Rug Emporium is closing forever. We're never coming back. It's over. We're done. We're shoving off, bowing out, flaking off, getting gone. It's at an end. We're cutting out, kaput, finish, drop the curtain, break camp, pull up stakes, beneath. This is absolutely, positively it this time. We're not pulling your leg on this. Roscoe's Oriental Rug Emporium is down the road. We swear we won't ever be back. It ain't gonna happen. Forget about it. We're shutting it down. We've lost our lease. Can't find it. Don't care, because we're done. Closing shop. Putting up the shutters. Bolting the doors. Slamming them closed. Gonna board the place up. Nailing it shut. Big nails. Nothing gets in or out. Stealing it off. We're history. We really, 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 really mean it this time. We're not jerking your chain on this. This ain't no snow job. We're not bluffing. No kidding. So shag your big fat bottom down here. PDQ. Because if you dawdle or dink around, you'll be SOL. Because we're closing forever. Any day now. Could be a matter of weeks. Days. Maybe tomorrow. But then, that's it. Roscoe's Oriental Rug Emporium. Going out of business since 1957.
Thank you so much for having me here today. Thank you, President Tim. I better wrap this up now because even though it's a bit overcast today, my wife is still planning on doing some sunbathing, and I got to head that off. Thank you very much, everybody.
Pat, thank you so much. Your humor is marvelous. You brighten a lot of days with it, and we're glad you brightened ours today. But I wanted to let you know that Bothell is changing their saying just slightly. It's where a day seems like a lifetime. One of the things I wanted to do, a couple more folks I wanted to introduce today are three of my business mentors in my life who have taught me so much over the years is Dick Grund, Barry Martin, and Stacy Grund. I'd like to welcome them today. Thanks for coming, guys. Thanks again to all of today's program participants. Happy birthday again to all those who have a rose in their hand. Next week, July 15th, we'll meet at the Old New Grand Hyatt. Not the Hyatt 8, but the other one. Our featured speaker will be Jamie Dimon, Chairman and CEO of J.P. Morgan Chase. Mr. Dimon will be introduced by Phyllis Campbell, recently named Chair of the Pacific Northwest region of J.P. Morgan Chase. We hope to have an extended question and answer period, so come prepared. Lastly, I'm going to leave you with a thought from author Michael Pritchard. You don't stop laughing because you grow old. You grow old because you stop laughing. Never forget to laugh. Have a great week. We're adjourned.
Seattle Rotary Online is made possible in part by a grant from First Choice Health, working with the Washington Health Information Collaborative to use technology to bring better health care to patients throughout the Pacific Northwest. First Choice Health.